Tremor.
Three Tremors.
Tremor, directed by Ron Underwood. Starring Kevin Bacon.
My name's James.
Fred Ward. Reba McEntire. And Michael Brooks.
Tremor.
Three Tremors.
Welcome to another edition of Tremor Talk. I am your host, Luke Newman. Not with us today is Peter Dryden. Hello. But Marika is here.
Hey.
And we have a special guest, Ben Weintraub, to help review the new Elder Scrolls Skyrim game. And that will come in the second half of this podcast. Tremor Talk is brought to you by Miriam's Attic. You can check out our profiles or listen to earlier podcasts on their site, www.miriamsattic.com. So I'm going to start off with the DSLR talk for this week, and then Marika will be reviewing Breaking Dawn Part 1, which she saw in theaters over the weekend. I did not see it, but I will be offering my opinions. For DSLR, I just wanted to quickly talk about the fact that with all the new gear coming out lately, there's I think gear envy is making the rounds in most filmmakers' minds. Every time a new toy comes out, whether it's a phone or whether it's a new video game or whatever, the media pushes that new product, and it's kind of hard to not be affected by what new products are being pushed on you. And I just wanted to encourage, and this goes for us too, we've just started to do this over the past 6 months, is kind of just tune out the gear talk and just go out and create. If you have a DSLR, even just a T2i, if you have a T2i or, any lower end camera, no matter what it is, I mean, it could even be a GoPro, just go out and start making stuff, because really entry-level DSLRs like the T2i are 20 times better than anything we could have had near that price range 5 years ago. Being able at the age of 15 to go out and get footage that looks as good as something coming out of the T2i is really like, you should be taking advantage of that, because it's really a cool time to be a filmmaker, because high quality stuff is so accessible at such a low price range. I got into filmmaking, and the aspects I like of it are like storytelling and just creating short films and videos. I don't really like the whole tutorial gear game. There's enough people on YouTube that do that. So that's the direction I've been moving, and I would suggest that if you have a DSLR, just plan something. Like, plan a drive out to some location and just take a day and just film a random video. Mm-hmm. I mean, if your camera's just sitting there doing nothing, then why don't you sell it? And, like every once in a while, even with us, like the Mary's Peak short we just uploaded, it's like we filmed that in a day, and there was no story behind it. It was just we felt compelled to go out and get shots and sort of just quench the artistic thirst.
Yep.
And
it was fun.
It was very fun. And it turned out to be like a good little short. So, gear is pushed on you, and gear is pushed in the media and stuff, and the Scarlet sounds awesome, and I would just suggest going out and filming. There's nothing better.
Yep. With
your T2i and your friends. If you don't have any friends, make friends. Put an ad out on Craigslist. Right now, Ben is actually playing Skyrim, so he's getting some last-minute information about the game. So if you hear button mashing in the background, don't pay any attention to it. It's just research going on. So I guess that brings us to Marika's review of Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Yes. Well, I have to say, overall, because I'm such a huge fan of the books and the story itself, my opinion is probably not the best to go off of if you're maybe thinking about going to see it, or if you're wanting to get into the series and stuff, because as a fan of the series and the books, I really like the movie because I love the story, and I thought they did a pretty decent job portraying some of the good parts of the book. but they really lacked a lot of the other stuff. Like they didn't. I'm not going to say too much about the story because I don't want to give anything away, but there were certain things that I think they could have done a little bit better on. So
Acting,
the acting, I mean,
writing, music.
Okay.
Production.
Just the music. Okay. I was very disappointed with the music, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed it right away. Like the very first scene, it's just, I was hoping that it was just maybe the one song and it was just going to be, just kind of like
what type of music? Like
it was really,
how did Hannah explain it?
Hannah,
Spanish.
My sister-in-law, Luke's sister, younger sister. We went to see it together with my mom and my mother-in-law and my other sister-in-law.
Typical Twilight crowd.
Yes, it was fun. It was a fun experience. Her explanation of what she thought the music sounded like was a Spanish soap opera. And I don't really know where she got the Spanish from, but I mean, to me it was like, okay, like Hallmark movie music, like really cheesy. It just did not go well with the movie at all. And it was apparently the composer from the first Twilight movie, which I actually didn't mind the music from that first one. I liked it because it was just it was like an indie feel. It was really like it just went well with the story, the first story, the feel of it. I mean, it's not necessarily the best music
Seemed like
out
the
there,
first
but
one, like there wasn't much actual composing. It was just like songs from bands.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it was. So you can't really it wasn't really moving, powerful music or anything
But
like
this
that.
one
It just
was trying to be.
Yes, it was, and it was really disappointing. It was just like embarrassing.
I was
in
very
certain parts.
tempted to watch it just to review it, but to me, what I'm taking away from it is my younger sister, Hannah, she would defend every single one of those movies, even if, they were horrible and got 29% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. Like she would still, they're good stories. And it was very telling to me to talk to her, and she couldn't even defend this one. She was like, I want to, but I can't. And a lot of the reviewers were saying like the dialogue and Taylor Lautner is just. Yeah.
I will say, I mean, this isn't saying much, but he is better in this one than the other ones, but he's still not good. But yeah, I brought up some numbers. I went all statistical on it. You did. And I think the average Rotten Tomatoes score for the Twilight series through 4 movies now is like 37.25%. With the highest being, I believe, 42 or something like that. 43 maybe. And the average, so just for comparison, the average Harry Potter movie in the Harry Potter series, which was 8 films, was something like 80%. Wow.
Which the average almost doubles the best movie in the Twilight series.
Yeah.
And I just started comparing it to the Harry Potter series in that the reason Harry Potter progressively got better towards the end is because they kept a consistent production crew, like director, composer, like pretty much like the same team did the last 4 movies, I think. And it seems like Twilight, like I know they had a different director this time. You said they went back to a composer from the first one. And it just seems like they were trying to figure it out on the go. And that seems like it almost never works. Like some of my favorite trilogies, Lord of the Rings, and that was the same production crew for all 3 movies. And they're bringing the same crew back again for The Hobbit. And I just think, it's really similar in sports. Like every once in a while you'll see a team bring in a bunch of free agents or something like that, and then they'll mesh and then they'll win everything the first year. But most of the time it's the teams that have had a few years and have some chemistry and then, like teamwork. Like that's a huge part of it. And I think that transfers to movies. If you keep switching up the directors, you're not going to have any consistent feel. Whereas like the last one, I don't know. I don't think I saw the last one, but that was the one of the best reviewed ones. And it seems like, well, why would you break that? Why wouldn't you bring back the same director, Howard Shore's composer, and do that? And You know, and another thing, I was talking about casting.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the girl that, like, one of the new girls was the girl from Lost?
Oh gosh,
Shannon
Shannon
from Lost.
from Lost. Oh my goodness.
And it was just like, you'd never see that in Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
For the last Harry Potter, if they were going to bring in a new actor, it's like a Broadway British, like, veteran actor. They would never, ever bring in Shannon from Lost. She's like one of the worst actresses I've ever seen.
And she was only on screen for maybe like a minute, but,
but
she didn't do good.
It just summed
I'll
up
say that.
like the Twilight series in my mind. It's like it seems like they don't make good decisions throughout.
Yeah. I also noticed too, because these movies are based on books, and everyone, if you've read the books, you know who the author is. They made it a point to like have like a 3-second shot of her in this movie.
Cameo.
Yeah, like don't.
Just
we know who you are.
Blatant
Don't
cameo.
Yes, it was like really obvious. Just, I mean, I don't know.
Their
like
color correction's okay.
Yeah. I like the color correction. And your mom, like she's a writer, so she really pays attention to dialogue scenes,
Right.
and she was really disappointed in the dialogue, and she like
Yeah.
some of the scenes
And
were
people
almost
say like, oh,
embarrassing.
it's hard for the actors to pull off. Like, it's hard to like. Do you critique writing or do you critique the acting?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like, I think it's kind of tough. You should critique both, but I think if you have good actors, they can pull off cheesy dialogue.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, the best actors can pull that stuff off.
Mm-hmm. No, I'll say 3 out of 4 as a fan of the book and the series and the story altogether.
And is part 2, I mean, can part 2 save the series, or is it already lost? Like I said, it's averaging 37.25% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
So to me, it was like, I thought these last 2 movies, if the series was going to be saved, these last 2 had to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And this first one of the last 2 is one of the worst rated movies.
It's so disappointing.
So it's kind of like the whole ship is basically lost. It's going to sink.
I was overall, I was pretty disappointed just because I really expected this to be one of the best movies. And that's what I wanted it to be, one of the best, because of the story. Like, it's such a good story.
Yeah.
The 4th book is just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But they pretty much
Butchered
failed.
it.
Yeah, I have to say they failed.
Well, that's coming from a Twilight fan, so that's got to be disappointing.
But do not get me wrong, I still absolutely love the story, and I always will. So, anyway,
Just
that's my opinion.
Movies.
I'm not a huge fan of the movies.
Okay.
I'd rather read the books, I think.
Okay, thank you, Marika.
You're very welcome.
And now, Ben, Weintraub, and I are going to review Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Luke.
Welcome to Tremor Talk. This is our first guest ever, so you should feel very privileged.
You have no idea.
So, Elder Scrolls, we're getting to this a little late. It came out, I think,
The 11th?
Yeah, 11/11.
Today's the 21st, right?
Yeah. So it's been out for a little while, but with this type of game, I need at least that much time to beat it. Like, I'm not one of those guys that would go through and beat it in a day.
Yeah.
And I even went through and I didn't do any of the side quests or anything like that. But overall, I really like it. Yeah, it's, it fits right in line. If you like any of the other Elder Scrolls game, you'll like this one. Like, everything's sort of the same as the more previous versions of it, like as far as open world and all that stuff. And the difference with this one is it's about dragons, and this is gonna sound nerdy.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay, but that's something I wanted to talk about with these games. Is they're kind of cool because it's like, it seems they're the first type of like RPG nerdy, like
like mainstream,
like that's mainstream. Like, it's kind of the first one that, like, I know it's the first one I ever played. Like, I never would even think about playing an RPG before this, and I don't quite know why that is.
You mean before, like, Oblivion?
Yeah, before Oblivion. Like, Oblivion was the first one.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's like this is an accepted mainstream RPG nerdy game.
I think part of why Oblivion has become Oblivion was such a great game, and this one as well, because it's so versatile. I mean, you don't have to do like magic spells to win the game. Like, did you use any magic spells?
No.
Like, did you use like fire or like healing or anything?
Yeah, I used healing.
But like, that's just like, okay, I need to run to the corner and just like use healing. Like for me, while I'm playing this game, I played it like, I don't know how many hours, not as many as you, just like 8 or something like that, or 6 or 8. Like I use like no weapons. I don't use a sword or a bow and arrow, so I don't have to worry about like all the potions.
Yeah.
And, you can attach like, poison to the end of an arrow or your sword or whatever, and they have to worry about damage and like increasing blah blah blah.
So is that the nerdy line?
I don't know.
It
Like,
seems like it is.
I think so, because it seems like I've never played World of Warcraft, but that's a game where you have to understand like, okay, we need to have this person do this person do this, whatever. It's like, no, I could go in, I just killed a dragon just using fire. Right.
It just seems like a dumbed down RPG. Not dumbed down, but like watered down. So it's not
as
in depth.
Yeah, not as hardcore. Not like, okay, you have to master the mage.
Yeah. I enjoyed the main story of this much more than Oblivion. Like Oblivion was a little too nerdy for me. Like you had to like go into these gates and like these different dimensions, and it was always kind of like that was a little too nerdy. This one's like dragons, and dragons, like there's cool movies about dragons, and there's like it just seems like a less nerdy story. So if there is an Elder Scrolls game or like an RPG that you want to get into, like this is the one, because it's a lot. Like they're so much fun. They're like open world games, which I think like if you were to like not play games for 10 years, like let's say you haven't played a game since 2001, and then you wanted to like see like, okay, what's the biggest advancement in video games? It'd be like this. Like if you played this,
open world.
Yeah, it's like this. It would not be possible back then.
You look at games like that came out about 10 years ago. It's like you're looking at like Halo, which was
kind of not open world.
No, not really. I mean, you're basically just on a path. You even go to like Gears of War. That's just such a linear game.
Yeah.
I mean, the path is like 30 feet wide.
Right.
Like, you have to go this way.
Right.
And
with Skyrim, it's like you look up to a mountain that is miles away, and it's like, no, you can walk there.
Yeah.
And there's no loading times or anything.
Yeah.
And like it's definitely the future of like all games. Like if you played Rockstar, like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, like they have all that. And this one's just like, if you're used to that sort of gameplay, which Rockstar is kind of maybe the first to like make popular.
Yeah.
Then
definitely.
this one should like fit right into your this one should like make sense to you right when you start it.
Yeah.
So as you know, that's what's cool about Skyrim, and it doesn't really feel like they did the Madden thing, and which is take Oblivion and then just update a few things,
like make this tree look different. Okay, it's a new game. It's like no, that's not a new game.
Right. Like you need to basically, in order for me to think it's a new game, you need to retool everything. It seems like they did in Skyrim. Like there's some stuff that's kind of similar, like the voice acting and.
But that stuff's like not that important.
Yeah.
It's like, who cares? It's like whatever. They have the text at the bottom. Like I usually just read through the text, hit A.
Right.
Read through the text, hit A. Like,
you hit A a lot. You don't even listen to the main story.
I just read like 8 words per like conversation. Yeah. Okay, I get the gist of it. I need to go this way. And then I'm
like riveted to every word. Like, wait, what does that mean? Okay. I get a little too into video game stories.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I kind of got into Oblivion.
Yeah,
like that. I was more, I think, into the story of that, and I was really looking forward to the final battle.
See, Ben's waiting for the next advancement in video games, which is like mixing open world with tons of players.
Yeah, that's what we're both waiting for.
Yes, yes, that would be awesome. Like Braveheart battles. Sweet. But getting back to the Madden thing, that's something I wanted to talk about. Is Madden. Okay. Is there a bigger like scam in any media form? Because think about how much money a video game, like movies are scamming sometimes. Like movies are sometimes scams. But you're only paying like $7 to go see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Like a new Madden game is $60.
Yeah. You should be expecting, or you are expecting a lot of updates and like upgrades and stuff, and then they'll do something like, oh, gang tackling. It's like, What? You
But-
can't.
yeah.
It doesn't even do anything
Yeah.
though.
But when you play a Madden game, like I made the mistake of buying the new one this year's, and it was like nothing different. It's like the field's the same, the players are the same, the crowd. Don't get me started on
Oh
the
my
crowd. The
gosh.
crowd's been the same since like 2003.
You every year you're like, why don't they do anything about the crowd? The crowd. It's like so big. It's really. I mean, it really is.
There's
from
like it's 2D still. Like you can see them, and they're always moving. So it's like first down, and like, you know, like a boring game, and the crowd's like all moving up and down.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like they'd be still then. Like, why can't you?
Like, how hard is that? It doesn't seem like it'd be that hard.
It's not, because like just extend the sideline guys and have them go into the crowd, and then have an animation for boring parts of the game where most people are sitting down. You know, some of the people are like walking in and out of the stadium. Like, that's the thing about a football game. It's like you're stuck inside this stadium. It's not like Elder Scrolls where you have to animate a whole world.
Exactly.
A game like Elder Scrolls should put the makers of Madden, like, they should be ashamed.
They should be.
Because when you go to Elder Scrolls, it's like every guy in every little shop has like a routine. And like, I mean, it might be a basic routine. You might ask him the same question over and over, and he gives you the same answer. But like every single shop, every single character has their own thing.
Yeah.
So why in Madden, in each stadium, couldn't you have? I just don't get Madden's excuse for their laziness.
It's because John Madden requires such high royalties, they can't afford to pay anyone
Do you think
to actually
there's
do
no
anything.
way?
I'm sure he gets. I mean, his name is on the
Yeah.
game. Do you think he gets like 1% of like sales?
Yeah, I mean, how much? Actually heard like back in the earlier games, like he had a lot to do with like the gameplay.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Like, how would he know?
Sometimes it just takes an outsider to like.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at like computer video game guys, they're like nerdy in general.
Yeah.
Like, no offense,
Yeah.
but like they don't typically watch a ton of sports, so they
Right.
don't know the
Right,
ins and
right.
outs of a game. He's like, no, that's not what happened. This is
Right.
what happened. If they go in motion, blah blah blah, and it's like,
Yeah. Really, all they do is update the rosters. They redo the menus every year.
yeah, it makes them like confusing. Like, what?
Yeah. Can we just keep those the same and then maybe change other stuff like the freaking crowd?
Yeah.
And then there's Call of Duty, which we have not yet played.
I played Modern Warfare 3.
Was that the new one?
Yeah.
You played it?
A little bit.
Huh.
I just played. I had a friend come over from work, and he has it for 360.
Yeah.
I played just like multiplayer and like.
Zombies? Do they have new zombies?
We didn't play zombies. They have it a little different, where it's like not zombies, it's like actual soldiers, but it's like endless ways. I personally think it's better.
Then zombies?
Yeah, because it's more realistic. I mean, you get to zombies level like 25
Right, you
or
just
30,
run.
and it's like you have no chance. It's not based on skill, like how accurate you are, like
Yeah.
headshots or whatever else.
Yeah.
You're dead pretty quick. But
Seems to me like Modern Warfare suffers from the Madden laziness.
yeah,
The single player only.
yeah.
'Cause
Well,
the-
it's like Call of Duty and like Medal of Honor or whatever. It's like
Ugh.
it's like how are those different?
Yeah, and then Battlefield. Like, there's too many war games to choose from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one Madden. There's only one football game.
And 2K back in the day for Dreamcast.
That was awesome.
That was so much better.
yeah.
And then Madden bought them out.
Well, Madden, didn't they get exclusive rights to the NFL?
Yeah. Modern Warfare, like, it seems like they kind of just float through the
Yeah, single
games.
well, it's almost like Halo. It's
Right.
like were any of the Halo like campaigns like, oh, this
Yeah.
is awesome. It's
Yeah.
like, no, it's all right. I mean,
Yeah.
basically that game was just made as a multiplayer, and then they threw in single player then. I mean,
Yeah.
single player, you could beat it on like the medium difficulty in like 4 hours.
Doesn't it seem like video games in general are moving away from single player? Like, it's
Yeah.
like just the
Which
draw
is-
of all of them is multiplayer.
Which is unfortunate because I like a good single player. And maybe
Yeah.
that's why I like Oblivion so much.
Yeah.
And
Oblivion, no multiplayer options, which is weird in a game.
yeah, like you not even online.
How could you have a successful game nowadays without a multiplayer option?
I don't know.
It's like
they
what-
did it.
Yeah, I know. One thing I want to know is when is virtual reality going to happen? Because, all the
Dude.
movies in the 90s said it would be happening by now.
like easily by now. It was like 2009.
It's always funny when you watch movies from like the 80s or 90s and they're like 2012 or but you know, in all those movies, you know, I think filmmakers assumed, virtual reality will be happening by then. Ugh. I just don't know why it hasn't.
It would be, you know what it would be like for me, honestly, if virtual reality came out. Have you seen Surrogates?
Yeah.
It would be like that. I would never leave. I would always be in it.
Yeah.
The whole, like, I'd have no reason to go outside. It's like,
I know.
I want to pretend I'm in Hawaii. Yeah. And like, you would actually like feel like you're there. Yeah. You could look around and that's what you see. Like,
I would be, now here's a cool concept for a filmmaker. Virtual reality sets. Where if you've ever played like Halo like 3 and on,
yeah,
and you like finish like a multiplayer game and you can go back through and create highlights, like you have this virtual camera that can go like float anywhere.
It's like an infinite number of cameras.
An infinite number of cameras and an infinite number of angles and like every angle is possible. Like you could go like swooping like from an aerial down to like a macro shot. Like perfectly. Virtual reality needs to be figured out so that virtual sets can be created the actors can all plug in to this, you know, virtual set. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, let's load up, you know, the waterfall location. Mm-hmm. And, you know, on the surface, it looks like a set, but you wouldn't need a crew. It'd be like audio. You'd get a feed, like a perfect audio feed.
And you just light it perfectly.
Yeah, lighting,
exactly how you want.
Yeah, like everything perfect.
And you could do like, it could be like a closed room, but you could still get a shot of just like a room full of mirrors, and you'd be like circling someone around the middle of the room, and you wouldn't see a camera in the reflection.
And you could like load up like different lenses. Like I want the anamorphic look. Like I want the old film look.
So like, how would that look like? So the people would be real, or?
Yeah, I mean it'd be like virtual reality, but like you'd be taping it, basically.
So it'd be almost like a green screen kind of room, or
no? It just you mean like where the like I'm assuming like Matrix reality, alternate reality, where like they lay down and they're plugged in.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you'd record it.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Like you'd record that from like an outside source.
Yes. Okay.
Because then you'd do like actual stunts. Like you wouldn't need any CG. It's like, no, okay, you know, Christian Bale, you're going to actually jump off this building. Yeah. Because you're not going to get hurt.
And it wouldn't be like a cut. You wouldn't have to cut. Like, okay, he jumps over. Yeah. Cut to another angle of someone falling through the air. Cut to another angle.
It's like you get the data of him jumping off, and then in post-production, you choose the camera angles. Awesome.
And no one would get hurt.
No. Nobody'd get hurt on set. You could do the most amazing stunts you want.
What if you took that to like sports? Would that be too far though? Because like,
what do you mean? Like if that's how they played sports?
Yeah, and like, I don't know. My biggest issue is sports.
Because then anybody could play sports.
Yeah.
Like there is some. Well, but think about that with actors. Like you could load up an actor, but have them look differently. So you could take, any actor.
So you're still using the actor for their actual acting skills.
Yeah, I mean, you'd use them for your skills, but it seems to me like it'd be like more like a CG type of thing, like Andy Serkis with Gollum, right? Yeah. Like you're using his skills, and nobody else can really replicate that.
Yes.
But they don't end up like you can make them look different. You can make them look the same. I don't know. It seems like it'd be like a photorealistic way to do CG. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like that's basically what CG is. It's like you create like a scene, you bring in a camera that can go anywhere, and then you use like motion capture to have the actors replicate the movements of those avatars in the 3D CG. But the only difference with this is the director would be entering the scene, the CG scene. Like it doesn't seem that far off. Like with what I just explained there. If you heard that 20 years ago, you'd be like, well, that sounds like virtual reality. Well, we're not at the point where you can actually add physical people into the scene to like look. Yeah. Like it wouldn't have to be a physical body, but put Steven Spielberg into this CG scene and let him walk around as this like CG character and just make the CG character look realistic. Like that's all it is.
Why aren't we there?
I don't know. It makes me think like are like the Japanese there? Like are really smart people there and it's just like too expensive to
Is Bill Gates there?
I bet he is.
He probably hasn't
in his
been
house.
outside of his house for
He's
like,
probably never actually in this world. He's probably like he spends like all his time at home like plugged into virtual reality, doing whatever he wants.
Dude, if we had that much money.
Well, if we had that much money, we would get Bethesda. We would get Bethesda to make a RPG of Lord of the Rings.
We would buy them and just be like, here, we're going to give you $1 billion. You do exactly what we
say.
Yeah, what we say.
We want everything the same as like your Skyrim, your Elder Scrolls games, but just change the characters and the story to be Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's
like,
it.
You can keep the graphics pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look at it.
they're fine.
Skyrim, like, it'd be awesome if this was like, oh, no, I'm going to Mordor.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to this location.
Because how many Lord of the Rings games have there been?
Probably like 10. And they've all been horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That new one's no different. War in the North.
Did you play?
I played the demo.
Have you played? I think there's like another like online like PC version.
Yeah.
Have you looked into that at all?
I think I like downloaded the demo because I was like, yeah, like, oh, if it's Lord of the Rings, like I'm hoping, and it's an RPG, like maybe it's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's like more like hardcore RPG, which I can't do. Skyrim and Elder Scrolls are about as far as I can go into the RPG world.
Yeah.
We just need to get rich so we can force Bethesda.
If everyone listening to this
Yeah.
would give us $1 and then have everyone they know also give us
$1, we can maybe get this game made. I don't know if anybody else wants to get this game made, but we do.
I know there has to be. I mean, we're
normal.
We're probably pretty middle of the road like video gamers. We're not like we don't want like these stupid, boring, like just mash buttons games.
We don't even both own our own 360. We share it.
Yeah.
So that should show you like we don't
custody.
I don't
joint.
I don't actually own a 360.
Well, because neither of us would play it enough to warrant it.
Yeah.
Just being in one place or the other.
I can't. It's like if I get. That's why I was like I wanted to finish Skyrim because I can't have it as a distraction. Like when I don't have it, then it's like I get distracted by video. And that's much more constructive for me. Yeah. So it's almost just like, no, I don't want to own one. As video games, the graphics get better and better, I think they'll be more and more like movies. And it's like the ultimate form of entertainment because you can like control like the main character or characters in that movie. And so like, I see more and more like you'll get professional writers writing for video games and like you see actors lending their voices. Yeah. Like in the last Elder Scrolls, I think it was who played the king in the beginning? Liam Neeson? Yeah, that sounds familiar. Pretty much like every video game, if you look at the credits, you'll recognize some names. Yeah. I know like Vin Diesel did Pitch Black, and most of the time, if it's like a movie, like the actors will lend their voices. Like if it's a Harry Potter game. Sometimes. Seems like most
Think
of the time.
The Lost game.
Oh.
What was the name of it? It was like
Lost via Damus.
Yes.
Oh man. None of the actors lent their voices. So John Locke. We're in these banyan trees.
If you need to learn about this game, go to YouTube and type in name of the game via What was it?
Lost via Damus.
Yes. Go in there and just type in like John Locke banyan tree.
Yeah. I think you can just type in John Locke banyan tree game.
General
Lost game. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you know Lost, I mean, Locke is one of the best characters. He's like a unique.
Most dynamic.
Yeah, a unique actor and like all this stuff. And then the guy they chose to do the voice was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Uninspired.
Horrible. I think he got like a 3.
Yeah, I mean, that seems about fair.
And see, I even like, it's like Marika and I were talking with Twilight. Like, if you're a fan of the series, you'll let certain stuff slide. So, like, I was a huge fan of Lost, and that's the only reason I played the game. Yes. But even as a huge fan, I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm sitting down here in the hatch, and I've been trying to connect circuits for like 2 hours.
It's like a job.
It's like this is the stupidest game ever. That's kind of sums up the second season of Lost, though.
Yeah.
It's like you might as well replicate the series and have crappy gameplay in the hatch, because the crappiest episodes are in the hatch.
Ugh, like 3 of the same episode over and over.
The first like
What?
4 episodes of the second season showed the same like situation from like 4 different perspectives.
It was from like Lux, and then Jack, and then
Kate.
and the whatever, and then Desmond. It's like what?
Are you kidding me?
Like that just further underscores the proof that they did not think they were going to get past season 1.
Yeah. I almost never believed that they knew the ending of Lost from like the first part.
No, I don't think they know now.
Well, but I read an interview with a guy who was like on the writing staff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, J.J. Abrams like knew the end. Like he knew, like he said in like the first meetings, the last shot or shots is going to take place in a church, and they're going to all be dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they knew that much. Like they knew that like the end was going to involve them all being dead.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess if you knew that,
But I mean that's fairly easy because you don't. have to go,
that's like okay, we're going to go with the ending from The Sixth Sense. Like that's like, well, okay, you still have 6 seasons of stuff to write.
Yeah, it's a story of how do you get to that point.
Yeah, which is like,
and it seems like a lot of times this went off these huge rabbit trails. Like, what does have anything to
like
do?
the time traveling thing?
Yeah, like what?
Like, did that end up meaning anything?
Not
Like,
really.
it was so many different little twists and turns. Like I can't even follow.
And didn't they really do that in was it 5? Or
5.
Yeah, 5.
Which
It's
is like a season before the last one.
Yeah, and even in the last season, they're still like creating twists and turns like 8 or 9 episodes in. It's like, dude, you guys need to stop.
Just wrap it up.
Start wrapping this up because it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's why, remember when it wrapped, I talked about, I want to download all the episodes of Lost, or
put it all in order.
burn them from Blu-ray and re-edit the entire series of Lost chronologically.
Still waiting for that.
I know,
because I was like, I'll be the first one to buy it from you, or whatever.
I was like, I want to see. The first episode would be the ones on the island with the man in black. Like that would be the first thing you'd see, and then the last thing you would see is the actual last thing you saw in the episode was when they all die. And they walk out of the church.
Yeah.
But, like I would go from like the man in black on the island, and then it would be the Richard episode when he was like in the 1400s or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, then we would go to the 60s when they were all on the island, and then when they got born. Like, I don't even know if you could do it. I don't even know if it'd be possible, and it wouldn't make any sense. But I just thought maybe if you saw it that way, the series would be more clear.
I don't know. There'd probably be a lot of things that are like, wait, that doesn't quite match up. And you would only know that if you watched it completely chronologically.
Yeah. The aerials, I've with the help of Dave Crew down in Alabama, he's been assembling a helicopter for me. And it's just something I've been pretty fascinated with since I first saw like an aerial reel on Vimeo. And you can put your T2i on the helicopter and really get awesome shots because it's such a small little helicopter that you can take it like all these, like you can fly really low and kind of like track somebody like it's a dolly shot, and then all of a sudden swoop up 20 feet. And it's just like you get shots that aren't really possible without like using an RC helicopter.
Yeah.
And so we're really close to being ready to start getting shots. And it's just super exciting. Like I'm definitely going to have them in the last Batman episode. Like there's a lot of like specific scenes that will require aerials. I even want to get them before that. Like we'll be getting a reel going first.
Oh, for sure.
But as far as like first showing up in context of a video, Batman might be the first.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've kind of wanted to like go around like kind of like the Mary's Peak thing, the Mary's Peak video of just shots of like locations and start getting some aerials like that. But that might happen. But, it's been a long process. It just feels like it's getting closer. Like the helicopter's close to being up in the air, and then it's just a matter of learning. All right, well, that wraps up this week of Tremor Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out the Miriam's Attic website for more info about Tremor Talk or previous episodes. Hope to see you back here next week.
Tremor.
Three